Hi, folks. This is Don Meissner with the North Country Fishing Report. And I want to tell you about what, as I look back on this year, were the highlights of my year. Now, this isn't about me, but it illustrates some of the things that I find tremendously impacting to my life as a fisherman and what it could mean to you too. Number one, I would say, and it may not be the most incredible of the year, but the first day of pike season, I went out, my waders leaked like a sieve. I wasn't able to go to where I wanted to go. And as a last resort, I went to a very accessible spot along the river near Waddington. And I was able to catch, just by accident, I know, but I was able to catch the biggest northern pike that I've probably caught in 20 or 30 years. And once when I was doing my TV shows, Streamside, I was able to travel all over the north part of Canada. I had some incredible experiences because I was one of the only ones that got to go there. And so I caught a giant pike at Lac Perdue up in Quebec. And that fish was so big, if I told you how big it was, you wouldn't believe me, but I do have pictures and records and footage of that whole battle. But this spring, I caught a pike that I didn't weigh, I didn't measure. It was so giant, it lay by my feet in the shallow water along the shore of the St. Lawrence River. And I mean, this is after I battled it and brought it in. I didn't want to kill it. I thought, my gosh, I didn't believe that northern pike grew this big in the St. Lawrence, ever. This fish was so big, I would estimate it, based on the bigger one that I caught years ago, I would estimate this fish at least 25 pounds. Now, fisherman's story, I know, and I got no proof other than this teenage kid that saw me from his grandparents' house, and he saw me battling this fish, and he came out, and he stood beside me as I released it, and he couldn't believe it either. Neither one of us had ever dreamed a fish that big was in the St. Lawrence. So I caught a big fish, and that's part of fishing, the quest to catch a monster fish, and I did it. But the other things that I remember the joy I felt this year of rediscovering trout fishing. I hadn't done it in so many years. I didn't think I could still do it effectively. I wasn't sure what artificials would really work for trout because my memory of all the times as a kid of catching trout was sort of dimming. And I used to use live bait an awful lot. But I rediscovered trout fishing. I caught some wonderful trout using little tiny crappie and bass lures. And it's something that has rekindled a love affair, and I can't wait till next spring to start it all up again. The other thing that really stands out to me, and this maybe is one of the greatest highlights of any fishing career, and that is having two guys I'd never met in my life. They listened to my radio show in West Virginia, and they decided to come up here fishing, and they asked me for help. And I passed on to a great friend of mine the quest of helping them to have a wonderful trip. And a wonderful trip they had. The two friends I'm talking about are Jim Bennett and Jim Kelly. And that hopefully they become friends for life just because of fishing. But here's what happened. They were able to go out muskie fishing on the tributaries, and there's a number of tributaries in our area that I bragged about having the best muskie fishing maybe in the world for somebody that's never done it and doesn't need to invest in a lot of great big tackle. They went out, and in 2 days of fishing, and again, we've got pictures and everything of this, they caught 17 muskies and lost 7 more that they had on and got off the hook. This is unheard of. This is like a lifetime fishing experience that would be written up in fishing catalogs, but it's true. And so that, to me, was one of the greatest memories of this year for me. Not only that, but they're going to come up again next year. More of their friends hopefully will come up to enjoy this fishing. And all those fish, I asked them, I said, do you think any of these fish died? And they both said no. They released them all as soon as they were able to bring them into the canoe. And I think this is fabulous. So finally, the other highlight of the year was when the New York State DEC opens up some wildlife refuge areas to fishing for 2 weeks. And one of those was in Wilson Hill. And I got to tell you, you got to have a kayak or a canoe to access the water. And no, you don't catch a fish every second. But when those fish turn on, it was experiences, and I can't really share other than people will think I'm exaggerating. But no, it was wonderful. Lots of really big largemouth bass, a whole bunch of dogfish, believe it or not, that succumb to surface lures going over the surface. Wonderful northern pike fishing. But more than that, it's a place that can stand out and that you can start thinking, boy, I can't wait till next year. So my year has been wonderful, but it always is. And by having new friends that have become friends because of fishing is really the cherry on top of the pie. Until next time, folks, this is Don Meissner with the North Country Fishing Report.